Ladies and gentlemen, the vice presidential debate was just last night, and my God, somebody stop JD Vance. Somebody stop this guy. JD, he's already dead, JD. You don't have to just keep kicking him while he's down. Poor Tim Waltz came out here. He was nervous. He was stuttering all over himself. And my goodness, JD Vance just looked lovingly into the camera and just kept kicking that poor dude while he was down. My gosh. It was a thorough splattering by JD Vance. Tim Waltz looked thoroughly helpless on the stage in this vice presidential debate. And the numbers, they absolutely show this. The numbers show that the people, what they saw on that stage, what they saw on their televisions, it reflects in the numbers that JD Vance was thoroughly dismantling Tim Waltz and Kamala Harris and their entire campaign. And even the New York Times had to come out and admit this is why Donald Trump chose J.D. Vance. This is why. Because he is a phenomenal speaker. He is a phenomenal debater. And he doesn't back down. He doesn't back down. However, he doesn't have the same, how can I say this, brashness, I guess you could say, that Trump has. He's more calm, he's more collected, and he thoroughly dismantles you like a surgeon. I love it, man. I love it. But let's get into the news. From the Post-Millennial, independents favor J.D. Vance over Tim Waltz after the vice presidential debate. That is according to a CNN poll. So before you guys want to sit there and say, oh, this is some biased news, or oh, this is Post-Millennial, oh, this is whatever, oh, this is Fox News. No. This is y'all's sources. But let's get into it. Let's read. A poll conducted after Tuesday night's CBS News vice presidential debate between GOP candidate J.D. Vance and Democrat candidate Tim Waltz has found that independents favor Vance over Waltz. The CNN poll conducted by SSRS found that 54% of independents said after the debate that Vance did a better job, compared to 46% who said the same of Waltz. When asked before the debate, 60% of independents said they thought Kamala Harris's running mate would do a better job in the debate, compared to 60% who said the same of Vance. Yeah, that's hey, Post-Millennial, that's a major typo, because they're both saying 60%. You can't do 120%. That's not a thing. Maybe my math is wrong. Maybe I just completely made a fool of myself. Math wasn't my strong suit, but that's a typo that I believe it should be 40%. 40% for people who said that Vance was going to do better. Overall, 51% of registered voters said that Vance did a better job in the debate, compared to 49% who said Waltz did a better job before the debate. 54% said that Waltz would do a better job, while 45% said the same of Trump's running mate. You see the numbers, ladies and gentlemen. You see the numbers, and it's blatantly obvious here among independents and among registered voters as a whole. We see that J.D. Vance thoroughly flipped the script on what people thought was going to happen. Before the debate, people thought Tim Waltz was going to do better in the debate, and that J.D. Vance was vanilla yogurt, that he's bland, he's blah, he's just whatever. J.D. Vance proved everybody wrong last night. Let's continue. Driving the flip in support from Waltz to Vance was a 9-point drop in support for Waltz among voters of color. An 8-point drop in voters between the ages of 18 to 49 for Waltz, a 9-point drop in support for Waltz among college voters, and an 11-point drop in support for Waltz among Harris voters. Wow. Oh, man. That is brutal. CNN, why are you joining in? I already had to get J.D. Vance off of the guy. Why are you joining in? Gosh, this is just a thorough dismantling of Tim Waltz. Yeah, these last 48 hours have not. Well, I guess no, 24 hours. Yeah, 24 hours ago was when the debate happened. Yeah, it's not been kind these 24 hours to Tim Waltz. Let's continue. During the debate, Waltz said in a moment that went viral online, "I've become friends with school shooters." Yes, ladies and gentlemen, he actually said that, and it's insane. It's more scary than it sounds, because when you hear that, you're like, oh, well, he must have just flubbed. He misspoke, whatever. But then he had a chance after the debate, and I can pull up the video here in just a second for you. After the debate, a reporter came up to him and confronted him on this and said, "Hey, can you clarify what you meant when you said that you've befriended school shooters?" And Tim Waltz ignored him. He has had an opportunity here to clarify what he meant, to clarify, oh, yeah, I just misspoke. When I said that, I didn't actually mean that I've become friends with school shooters. He had a chance to say that. And when confronted on this question, he ignored the reporters. He ignored the question. This is strange, man. It's very strange. But let's continue. Moderators early in the debate cut the microphones when Vance attempted to respond to a fact check issued by moderators Nora O'Donnell and Margaret Brennan, yada, yada, yada. You guys largely, if you're watching my channel, you probably watched the debate last night. You straight up politics, news, that's generally what we talk about on my channel. So if you're watching my channel, you probably saw it last night. I want to go over the aftermath. We've seen this. We've seen these numbers, and I got more proof for you right here. This is from Frank Luntz. At the first commercial break, my hashtag VP debate focus group says by a 10-3 margin that J.D. Vance is winning. This is at the first commercial break during the debate. Then he continues, that is a big deal since only 5 of them were leaning towards Trump Vance when the debate began. That's a big deal, guys. That's a big deal. This is 14, I believe, 10, 11, 12, 13. That's I'm gonna admit this is a little strange because he says here 10. That's 13. 10-3 in favor of J.D. Vance here, and then 12-2. Maybe I'm. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe the numbers are just confusing me a little bit. He says 10-3 margin in favor of J.D. Vance at the first commercial break. Then he continues here. Final focus group vote tonight after the debate. 12-2 in favor of J.D. Vance. Ladies and gentlemen, this is apocalyptic for Democrats. It's apocalyptic. We got the first debate between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. And a lot of people said, oh, well, Kamala Harris was able to, she was able to get under his skin and fluster him and make him look bad or whatever. But when it came down to who really wins these debates, you have to understand what the goal is of the debate. The goal of the debate is try to convince the voters to vote for you. It's not to, try to make the other person angry. That's not the point. The point is to try to get people to vote for you. And the polls after that first debate showed that after the debate happened, people said that when it came to the biggest issues, the economy, number 1, and number 2, the southern border and immigration, when it comes to those 2 issues, after the debate, people trusted Donald Trump on the biggest issues that affect their lives every single day. They trusted Donald Trump more. So, when it comes down to who wins the debate, we go right back to what is the goal of the debate. If you're a candidate in this debate, the goal is to try to convince the voter to vote for you. That's the goal. And ultimately, independent voters and regular people trusted Donald Trump more after the first debate. Then, of course, this debate here between J.D. Vance and Tim Waltz, clearly we see J.D. Vance has easily won. Easily. And not according to me, not according to some right-wing source. No. These are independent voters who are saying, or in many ways, these are people who are for Kamala Harris or who are independent, like Frank Luntz right here just said. Let me pull it back up. That is a big deal since only 5 of them were leaning toward Trump-Vance when the debate began. During this debate, J.D. Vance won people over, man. He won people over. Now, I get it. They're saying, oh, he won the debate. But have you not seen the divide in our country lately? You know how hard it is to get somebody to admit that somebody on the other side of the aisle beat them or beat their candidate in a debate? You know how hard it is to get people to do that? Sure, these people could be independent voters, but my point remains. The divide is serious, guys. Now, I want to bring up the polls, and I want to show you guys where we are at currently, and I want to show you why this is such a big deal. Let's pull this up right here. The top battlegrounds from Real Clear Polling. Now, I could pull up the regular polls where we're talking about the popular vote and stuff. I don't give a single rat's rear end about the popular vote, because ultimately we have seen in several elections that the popular vote does not always win you the election. What matters is winning the states. So the most important thing is these battleground states here. In overall, we see that Trump is winning by a margin of 0.1%. That sounds like it's close. That's actually apocalyptic for Democrats. And I've explained why in past videos, but I'll explain why again here in just a second. In Arizona, Trump is holding a 1.7 point lead. Nevada, Harris is holding a 1.1 point lead. In Wisconsin, Harris is holding a 0.8% lead. Michigan, Harris is holding a 1.3% lead. North Carolina, Trump is holding a 0.6% lead. Georgia, Trump is holding a 1.5 point lead. And Pennsylvania, the most important state in this election, is currently a tie according to the polls. Every single bit of this is apocalyptic for Kamala Harris. But I want to show you first, before I get into why that is, exactly what this would mean. Okay? So, Arizona, according to these polls, Arizona goes red, Georgia goes red, North Carolina goes red. Okay? Then Nevada goes blue. Wisconsin goes blue. Michigan goes blue. It comes down to Pennsylvania. This is why, this right here is exactly why this debate is such a big deal, and why independent voters switching sides, saying, not necessarily switching sides, but saying this guy did much better than this guy. That moves the needle, guys. Like I just said, the point of a debate is to try to convince voters to do just that, to vote for you. That's the whole point. So, when we see that J.D. Vance overwhelmingly, not according to some media pundits, not according to some guys on a YouTube channel, according to the people themselves who were polled by these organizations, the people themselves, the independent voters, said that J.D. Vance won the debate. That's a big deal, man, and it moves the needle, and it convinces people to vote for a Trump ticket. It does. It truly does. And this moves the needle, man. So, this is the reality. 19 electoral votes. If it goes red, Donald Trump wins. 281 electoral votes. to Kamala's 257. If it goes blue, there you have it. Kamala Harris wins 276 to Donald Trump's 262. Very close. It's extremely close. This is why the debate is so important, because many of these states are won by a margin of around, 20,000 votes? That sounds like a lot, guys. It's not. When you're talking about millions of people voting in an election, it's not that many votes, man. It's not that many votes. This is going to be a tight race. But I want to say, before we get before the Democrats get a little too far ahead of themselves, I want to say, we go back to these polls here, and I want to remind everyone. The last two elections, the last two presidential elections in 2016 and in 2020, the average bias in the polls favored Democrats by and I believe it fluctuates around from 4 to 7 points in the battleground states. 4 to 7 points was the bias towards Democrats. In 2016 and in 2020, it was 4 to 7 points. This is apocalyptic, man. Let's just say that continues. It happened in 2016 and it happened in 2020. The polls heavily overfavored Democrats by a margin of 4 to 7 points. Okay? So we have to consider the fact that could absolutely happen once again here in this election. For example, in 2020, I've brought it up before, in 2020, the state of Wisconsin, just by itself, this is a fantastic example, overfavored Joe Biden by an entire 6 points. They said he was going to win the state of Wisconsin by 6.9 points. He only won that state by 0.9. That's a 6-point difference, guys. 6 points. I want you to imagine that exact number carries over to the state of Wisconsin in this election. My gosh. I mean, Trump is actually up by what? I want to say like 5.2, I think, maybe. Listen, I said before, math is not my strong suit. But the point remains. Let's slow the roll a little bit. Let's be conservative and say that the bias is not as high as it has been in the past. Let's say it's only 2 points. Trump still wins every single state. Think about this. Let's say the bias is only 2 points in favor of Democrats. We've seen in the past 4 to 7 points in 2016 and in 2020. Let's say they've cleaned it up a little bit, and this time the bias is only 2 points. Trump still wins every single battleground state, and he takes the presidency. Do with that information what you will, ladies and gentlemen. I can tell you what I'm going to do. I am not going to get complacent. Because like I just showed you, the election basically hinges on one state. According to the polls right now, if the polls are accurate, it comes down to Pennsylvania. That's it. One state decides this election, according to the polls. You can't get complacent, man. You got to register your friends and family to vote. You got to get out in early voting or on election day and go vote. If you are part of a organization like Turning Point USA, where you are in states where it's legal, you're going to do ballot chasing. You got to get out there and you got to work your butt off, man. You got to work your butt off to get these ballots to the polls. I don't know, man. I mean, just seeing how close everything is, I'm a little nervous. I really am. I mean, of course, you're looking at a guy, I'm a conservative guy. I want Donald Trump to win. Of course. I truly believe that he's got a much better, he's got a much better platform for our country. A future under Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, in my opinion, is a much healthier country as a whole than under Kamala Harris. But I don't know. We see how close it is, how divided our country truly is. Seeing how close this is, it could not get more divided. It can't. I mean, it's wild how truly just razor thin the margins are. But like I said before, when the margins are that thin, every single vote counts. And that is why I believe this debate that J.D. Vance won thoroughly, heavy-handedly. J.D. Vance won. I believe that is why this is important, man. It's very important. You got to get out to vote, man. You got to get out to vote. I'm going to leave it there. I'll have another video coming for you guys likely next week. Maybe this week. I'm not entirely sure. The schedule has been very chaotic lately, but I will try to get a video out for you guys this week, if not next week. If you like this channel and you want to support this channel, make sure you guys hit that like button. Really helps us grow, helps us helps us become more self-sufficient, and it helps us to defeat the censorship here on YouTube. So be sure you guys follow me on all the socials down in the description and hit that notification bell so that you can be notified whenever we put out new videos. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.